Sometimes, despite receiving life-changing opportunities, patients on My 600-Pound Life simply refuse to follow Dr. Now's advice. This is volume 3 of Terrible Patients on My 600-Pound Life. Some of the most frustrating individuals who made excuses, resisted change, and ultimately failed to lose weight. Lacey Buckingham.
My boyfriend.
Lacey grew up in an abusive home. Born as an unplanned and unexpected baby, Lacey felt unwanted and rejected. She would turn to food to find comfort and love, and she would continue eating until her weight would get out of control. Lacey was raped by one of her friend's elder brother when she was in 3rd grade.
And we were playing one day, and he wanted me to go to his house. And when I went over, his older brother lived in the basement, and I was dragged to the basement by my friend for his elder brother to have sex with me.
She internalized the event out of fear that no one would believe her. Instead, she would bury herself in food and just eat. She would gain more weight and be bullied because of it, and food would be her refuge. The vicious cycle would simply continue with food. Eventually, she would tell her parents about the rape years later. While her father believed her, her mother never did, causing a rift between Lacey and her mother. At 26 years old, Lacey discovered feederism. It would be her gig for a while, and she would even have relationships with 3 feeder men. She would later meet Ricky online, and he would be her caretaker, but also her biggest enabler. With all the pain that she was in, and the fear of being past the point of no return with her weight, Lacey decided to reach out to Dr. Now in hope that he would help her lose weight. Sharon, Ricky's sister, was the driver that would take Lacey, accompanied by Ricky, to Dr. Now in Houston, Texas.
I have to go number 2. Oh, I gotta get fast. And new pants.
So,
New pants! New pants!
oh God, no! She pooped herself. I think she needs to get off the fast food for a little while.
I just need Ricky to bring me a diaper.
Lacey's first appointment with Dr. Now had to be moved because it took longer for Lacey and her crew to get to Houston. Eventually, they made it to Dr. Now, where she was weighed at 593 pounds. At that first appointment, Lacey blamed her weight on too much carbs.
So what seemed to be issue with your eating habit that you're not able to lose weight?
Too much carbohydrates.
She had goals to live a fulfilling and healthy life, but did not know how to get there.
You are taking 30 medications
Yes.
a day. And you have high blood pressure, diabetes, asthma, thyroid problem, reflux, neuropathy, lymphedema, migraine, and the list goes on.
With all the health issues that she already had, Lacey was taking 30 different medications, which was an indication that her body was running at its limits.
That will break down at 1,200 calories a day, low-carb, high-protein diet that you need to follow completely. So in 2 months, you need to lose 50 pounds.
Dr. Now gave Lacey the goal of losing 50 pounds in the following 2 months while following his 1,200-calorie diet and exercise plan, at which point she will have to move to Houston to be in Dr. Now's program. The bariatric surgeon also noticed that Lacey, even though she wanted to lose weight, she did not seem to have the intention to do the work that it would take to do so.
My biggest concern with Lacey is that she doesn't seem like she's ready to take responsibility for herself. I have no doubt that Lacey wants to change her life and lose the weight. But my concern is whether or not she's going to put in the work she needs to make that happen.
But he gave her what she needed with the hope that his assessment would be wrong. The following month, Lacey and Ricky got engaged, which Sharon disapproved of, but Lacey tried to focus on her diet, and Ricky was supportive of her. He would also sometimes exercise with her. Then, Lacey would miss her checkup appointment with the bariatric surgeon, and she will have an excuse for every question that the surgeon asked her on why she was not losing weight.
Why haven't you contacted us if you're doing so well?
I got engaged, and me and Ricky have been working on moving down to Houston. Well, I do have some issues to deal with, and I had to prepare mentally and physically to move before I moved down there.
Lacey went to weigh herself at a nearby clinic, and of the 50 pounds that she was tasked to lose, she only had lost 16. She was also to move to Houston only if she had met the goal that he had given her. Regardless, Lacey applied for an apartment in Houston, and she and Ricky started the moving process. During the move to Houston, things became chaotic as Lacey and Sharon got into a big argument, as Sharon was the driver to Houston yet again. Then, she realized that she was going to miss another appointment with Dr. Now as they were still on the road.
This is your second time missing this appointment? What was the first time?
The first time was June.
Oh, well, why did you miss this first appointment in June?
We couldn't get there on, I think it was because we couldn't get there get financial afford plane tickets or something.
As Sharon found out that this was not the first appointment that Lacey missed, she became enraged because she also realized that Lacey had been lying to her and Ricky all this time.
Air tickets are cheap as right now. Cheap as every day this week this is done. It pissed me off.
This caused Ricky to start having his own doubts, and he ended up breaking up with Lacey.
I don't know anymore. I don't know what's true and what's not true. I'm done.
Sharon and Ricky then abandoned Lacey in Tempe, Texas. Lacey would use social media to connect with Michelle, an acquaintance from her hometown who was on a road trip to Texas, to help take her to Houston and to Dr. Now. When she was weighed, it was found out that she had only lost 12 pounds. With everything happening in her life, Dr. Now understood that she needed to focus on getting her life situation sorted out. But he also gave her the goal to lose 50 pounds, and should she need anything, she could reach out to him. Eventually, Lacey would return to Washington State in her former apartment. She was seen making better food choices at the end of her episode, but it is hard to say whether it was for the camera or these changes were legitimate. A lot went on in this episode. The dynamics between Lacey, Ricky, and Sharon was a recipe for disaster from the get-go. All three had a few missteps that caused things to blow up with each other. Lacey's missteps were that her journey was marred by inconsistent commitment to the weight loss program. Despite expressing a desire for change, her actions, such as missing medical appointments and inadequate weight loss progress, indicate a lack of readiness to fully engage in the necessary lifestyle modifications. This inconsistency suggests that she was in the contemplation stage of behavioral change, characterized by awareness of the problem, but ambivalence about taking action. Individuals in this stage recognize the need for change, yet struggle with commitment, often leading to procrastination. Sharon's missteps were that she exhibited a confrontational approach during the journey to Houston. Her intense argument with Lacey, culminating in abandoning her mid-trip, lacked the supportive environment crucial for someone attempting significant lifestyle changes. Such actions likely exacerbated Lacey's stress and feelings of isolation, hindering her progress. As for Ricky, while serving as Lacey's caretaker, he also acted as an enabler of her unhealthy behaviors. His support lacked the necessary encouragement for Lacey to adhere strictly to her weight loss regimen. This dynamic may have reinforced her ambivalence toward change, making it more challenging for her to transition from contemplation to action. Here are some recommendations for Lacey's progression. 1. Enhance self-efficacy. Building confidence in her ability to succeed is crucial. Setting small, achievable goals can lead to early successes, fostering belief in her capacity to change. To develop a supportive network. Engaging with support groups or counseling can provide the emotional backing needed to navigate challenges, offering both accountability and encouragement. 3. Implement structured planning. Creating detailed action plans, including meal prepping and scheduled physical activity, can bridge the gap between intention and behavior, facilitating the transition to the preparation stage. 4. Address psychological barriers. Working with mental health professionals to process past traumas and develop healthier coping mechanisms is essential for sustainable change. By focusing on these strategies, Lacey can move beyond contemplation, actively engaging in behaviors that promote weight loss and overall well-being.
I'm getting close to 380 pounds. Pretty excited.
In a TikTok post from 2024, Lacey told her fans to be approaching 380 pounds. From her face alone, it did not look like it. But hey, if she has been losing weight and becoming healthier, then kudos to her. Hopefully, she has gotten her body in a place where she no longer needs 30 different medications to function decently. Brian Barkdoll. When he appeared on My 600-Pound Life, Brian Barkdoll was 31 years old. He has gotten so big that he had developed lymphedema in his leg. He would use wipes to clean himself while sitting on his recliner because he could not stand long enough to have proper showers in the bathroom. He lived with his mother and her boyfriend, Leroy, and they were also his enablers. Brian's never knew his biological father. He grew up with his stepfather and his mother, and also thought the stepfather was his biological father. Because of that, Ryan always tried to get his attention and would never understand why the stepfather did not like him. So, Ryan would turn to food to find the love, attention, and validation that he was desperately seeking from his father figure. Because he was gaining too much weight, he was removed from the home to go live with his grandparents. His grandparents would tell him about his father and his passing, and once Ryan realized that because his biological father had passed away, he would never have the father-son relationship that he had been desperately seeking. This made him eat even more. Shortly after, his grandfather passed away of cancer, and Ryan had to go back to living with his mother, his stepfather, and his sister. He joined the football team in his high school, but never got to play the position that he wanted. Because of this, he would eat more and would also start drinking and do drugs until he got kicked out of the football team. This would cause him to do more drugs, eat even more, and drink more. Then, he would quit school and join the Job Corps in hope to get his life back under control. He struggled to find a job for a while, but a friend of his helped him out. After a while, as he continued to gain weight, Ryan also got fired because he was too big to do the job that he had been hired for. By then, his mother had left Jeff, the stepfather, and she was now with Leroy. Not having a job or nowhere to go, Ryan went back to live with his mother and her boyfriend, and they would enable his food addiction.
And how much you weigh?
Last time I weighed about 740 pounds.
How long have you been overweight?
From 13 years old to now is when weight significantly gotten worse. Just wasn't taking care of myself. And I let it get to where it got out of hand, and now I can't seem to get it back under control by myself.
Realizing that he needed help, Ryan reached out to Dr. Now. At his first appointment with the surgeon, he was said to weigh 740 pounds. His goal was to be a firefighter after losing weight, and he admitted to the surgeon that he also needed help to be accountable.
I'm a fighter.
Ryan also told the surgeon that he was currently on a diet and that he was losing weight, which was a contradiction because he had also told the surgeon that his weight had not changed in 2 months.
I put myself on the diet that I'm on right now to lose weight.
Okay, is it working?
Yeah, and I don't snack nearly as much as I used to.
Well, if it is working and you think you're losing weight, why did you tell me you think you're the same weight as you were a couple months ago?
Another contradiction was that while he said to be on a diet, he also said to be eating junk.
A typical day, what do you eat?
It really varies. Some days I'll personally order food like pizza or sandwiches and have it delivered. And then other days, my mom cook. Eggs and sausage is a big one for me. I like breakfast burritos, so I'll put eggs in it, sausage in it, cheese in it. Crackers, string cheese, any kind of popcorn. It can be cheddar, popcorn, butter, caramel. Some candy, sometimes sour gummy bears, sour gummy worms, or sour candy.
Well, technically that was a diet. It would have been more accurate to say that he was on a junk food diet. He also revealed that his father was 40 and weighed over 800 pounds at the time he passed away, which was a path that Ryan seemed to already be on if he did not change his ways.
My real dad, when he died at 40 years old, was like over 800 pounds. He had a heart attack due to his health, like being overweight, and then he also had a problem.
How old was he when he deceased?
I think at 41, somewhere in there, 40, 41.
Doctor now gave directions for Ryan to follow in order to start losing weight, and then told him to go weigh himself at a nearby clinic to get his current weight, but also to check his progresses. This was a condition in order to be approved in his weight loss program. His goal was also to lose 90 pounds in the upcoming 2 months following a 1,200 calorie diet and exercise regimen. Ryan would start the diet, but would make excuses, saying that it was too restrictive.
And I've been able to start to make some of the changes to my diet to eat healthier. But to say that there's a lot of requirements and rules in what Dr. Now sent would be an understatement. Because basically it's like I can't eat anything anymore.
He would also not do the exercises, blaming the weather as there was snow outside.
But I'm still not able to be very active yet. That's not my choice though. That's because of the weather and how much it's been snowing. It's way too dangerous for someone my size to even attempt to try to walk in those conditions. So I'm having to be safe and wait to do the exercises until the weather improves. Because there's no room to really do it all in here.
But the thing is that Ryan's room, where he slept and stayed for the most part, was spacious enough to do indoor exercises. 2 months later, Ryan went to check his weight at a nearby clinic, and for the second time, the scale could not read his weight as it had a limit of 660 pounds. This meant that he was still heavier than that and therefore missed his goal. He told Dr. Now that the scale was malfunctioning because, according to him, he worked hard and was weighing 650 pounds.
I know I made it to your goal, Dr. Now. I worked hard, so I'm at least under 650 pounds right now.
So I think the issue is that you're still over the 660 pound limit for the scale to be able to get your weight. So let's go ahead and see if we can come down to Houston so we can visit with you. And we can check your weight with our scale.
Dr. Now then told him that he can be weighed at his office, but before he gets to Houston, Ryan would have to get his weight down to 650 pounds. The surgeon stressed out the fact that were that goal not met, Ryan would not be approved to join the surgeon's program. The timing to reach that goal was 2 months. Ryan was a food addict, and he would sneak in junk food that he would order behind his mother's back. In front of them, he would eat clean, but then he would sneakily eat junk food until they caught him.
Honey, here come see us. What are you doing?
His mother then decided to throw out everything that was junk food in the home in order to help her son follow Dr. Now's plan. In the meantime, Ryan would continue to eat the wrong foods at big quantities. While getting ready to move to Houston, Despite not making any weight loss progresses, he would also be frustrated with his mother and Leroy for not moving to Houston with him, making it all about himself because, according to him, his mother and her boyfriend had to drop everything in their lives to move to Houston.
For my next appointment with Dr. Now. It's in about 9 days from now, and I don't want to miss it. But my mom and Leroy are saying they need more time to get things ready. And so I've been frustrated with them because they knew I had this appointment coming up. I'm pushing my mom and Leroy to figure everything out and take this more seriously because my whole life is depending on this. And they know how important this is to me.
What a narcissist. He got to his weight because of his own doing, and he couldn't even help himself to lose some weight. And then, when his family could not make the move with him, he threw a tantrum and eventually canceled the move altogether and accused them of not supporting his weight loss. Very mature, my dude.
Since my last call with Ryan a few months ago, he seems to have fallen off the map. We set an appointment with him, but that was supposed to be a month ago, and he never showed up. And he hasn't been answering my call.
Ryan would end up missing his next appointment with Dr. Now, and he would stop answering calls from Dr. Now for a while. When he finally answered a call, he told the bariatric surgeon that he had been dealing with personal things and never saw his previous calls, right?
So are you doing your diet?
Yeah. And I got a gym membership at home.
Do you feel like you lost any weight?
Oh, in my knees for sure.
How much do you think you lost?
I don't know. I'd say easily probably 50 pounds minimum.
He also claimed to have lost about 50 pounds and that he would move to Houston in upcoming days from that call.
So when do you think you're coming down to Houston?
So ASAP. Hopefully by the end of this coming week or the beginning of the following week would be the worst case scenario.
I'll see you here in Houston at the end of next week.
That sounds great.
All right, talk to you later.
But this would not happen because Ryan would continue to eat junk foods and claim that no one had his back and he was all alone. He eventually stopped responding to any calls from Dr. Now, never had his weight checked again or his vitals taken. For 3 months, Dr. Now would try to reach him without any success, but he would send text messages to the surgeon after each missed call with a different excuse each time. Dr. Now then moved on.
I think Ryan is intentionally avoiding video call with me. There is no point for him to come down here and put his body through all that just to waste everyone's time. Because we're not moving ahead with him until he proves to me he's ready to do what he needs to succeed at this.
The episode was one of the most frustrating ones to watch because it wasn't just about a man who wouldn't lose weight. It was about a man who refused to face himself. It exposed the face of a man. It's not just about poor choices. It's about a brain that has been rewired to prioritize the substance, be it food, alcohol, or drugs, above all else. It becomes the first thought in the morning and the last thought at night, and it turns people into skilled manipulators, not because they're evil, but because survival mode takes over. Addicts lie, they cheat, they sneak, they gaslight others and themselves, they hoard, hide, and hustle to protect their fix. And Ryan was no exception. He snuck in junk food behind his mother's back, eating clean only when someone was watching, and when she finally cleaned out the house and tried to help him stay on track, he lashed out, angry, entitled, and convinced the world was against him. He expected his mother and Leroy to drop everything and move to Houston with him, forgetting that he was the one who got himself into his situation. When they didn't, he canceled the move and weaponized his disappointment, accusing them of not supporting his weight loss. Addiction thrives in secrecy. It feeds on excuses, resentment, and the illusion that tomorrow will be different. But it's not until you rip those excuses out by the root, until you sit in the discomfort, the truth, and the pain you've buried, that healing even has a chance. Ryan didn't need another meal. He needed accountability, he needed honesty, He needed recovery, not just from food, but from the lies he built his life around. But as it stands, he chose to stay exactly where he was, stuck, sick, and surrounded by the wreckage of his own denial. Ryan was also in the pre-contemplation stage of the trans-theoretical model of behavior change. In this stage, a person may say they want to change, but their behavior, mindset, and attitude show otherwise. There's no real intention to change in the immediate future. Instead, there's denial, defensiveness, blame shifting, and a constant string of excuses. That was Ryan through and through. He said the words, "I want to lose weight. I want to be a firefighter. I'm on a diet," but his actions betrayed the truth. He skipped appointments, ignored phone calls, kept eating junk food behind closed doors, and then gaslit his family and doctor. That's the hallmark of someone not ready to face the problem. Someone still justifying, minimizing, or avoiding responsibility. So, how can someone like Ryan be helped to move out of pre-contemplation and into the next stage? Contemplation. 1. Intervention through motivational interviewing. A skilled therapist or coach can use motivational interviewing techniques to gently challenge contradictions, build self-awareness, and help the person weigh the real cost of their behavior. It's not about confrontation, it's about connection and curiosity. You say you want to lose weight, but you're still eating fast food in secret. Help me understand that. 2. Exposure to consequences without shame. Sometimes it's seeing the consequences in full. Lab results, loss of independence, failed dreams, that wakes a person up, but it has to be done without shame. Shame shuts people down. Compassion and truth open doors. 3. Storytelling from survivors. Real stories from people who've been through addiction and turned their lives around can create what's called a discrepancy moment, where the person suddenly sees how far off track they are from the life they could have. These stories can plant the seed of contemplation. 4. Family education and boundary setting. His mother and Leroy also need coaching. Enablers often think they're helping, but they're feeding the addiction. Literally and emotionally, boundaries must be set. We support your recovery, not your addiction. You have to choose. 5. Small low-pressure commitments. Instead of jumping into weight loss goals, Ryan might benefit more from micro goals that build trust with himself. Logging food without judgment, walking in place for 5 minutes a day, attending one support group. These aren't about weight, they're about ownership and building momentum. Only once he truly accepts that he is sick, truly sick, and that he is the only one who can initiate his recovery, will he move into the contemplation stage, and from there, preparation, action, and eventually maintenance. But until then, he'll keep ghosting Dr. Now, blaming everyone else, and dying one bite at a time. DeShaun Davis was 28 when he started his weight loss journey on My 600-Pound Life. He lived with his mother, his 2 sisters, and brother. His sister Diamond would be the one taking care of him and washing him. He also had a caregiver. DeShaun's family was also very dysfunctional because the mother herself was morbidly obese, and Diamond was also taking care of her.
DeShaun's my first baby. My boy, I had him for 5 years before I had any more kids, so he's the very spoiled one.
DeShaun had always been spoiled by his mother after she got her life together. When he was a kid, his mother was a drug addict and his father was a criminal, so the parents not being around much, he would use food for comfort.
Started to get worse.
His stepfather was abusive to him, but eventually he would help his mother leave that man. With time, his mother would show him affection and food was a mean.
Came out right here.
DeShaun got a stray bullet in one occasion when he was out with his mother. No one died, but the event traumatized him enough to make him not want to ever leave the house again. He eventually dropped out of school, went on disability, and just shut down. He would spend his days eating, watching TV, and sleeping for 3 whole years. In hope to change, but not sure how to, DeShaun reached out to Dr. Now. At that appointment, DeShaun did not seem interested in talking with the bariatric surgeon or do anything to help himself.
Tell me a little about your situation and what I can do for you.
I'm pretty much just losing weight.
How long you been overweight?
I've been big my whole life, so everything I try don't work.
Do you have a goal in your life?
Not really.
Do you have any friends?
No.
Dr. Now prescribed him psychotherapy and gave him guidance to his 1,200 calorie diet and exercise plan.
So I'm going to send you some stuff. I want you to start reading those. It will break down a 1,200 calorie protein low carb diet and give you some exercises how to start on. So I think the first step for you is start talking to psychotherapy again. If we said that for you, do you think you can do that?
I guess.
He also prescribed physical therapy and sent him a nutritionist to help DeShaun with his nutrition.
The situation we have with DeShaun is looking like it will be a difficult one because he clearly lacks a lot of motivation. But the big thing will be with him working with psychotherapy to see if they can help get to some of the issues with him.
DeShaun would do some efforts at first, but then would stop physical therapy. He would also not follow through with psychotherapy and would not continue with the diet or follow the nutritionist's instructions. In short, this guy just did not want to live, I guess. At least, that is what transpired from the next appointment with Dr. Now, where he had an argument with Dr. Now and his mother.
You will follow up to confirm time with psychotherapy. So, what is the issue?
I don't know.
What are you doing with your eating habit?
Nothing.
Did you do the exercises?
No.
But you don't have to wait on the paperwork to exercise.
I don't care no more.
So you don't want this?
No. I don't want nothing. I'll go to the street and die.
It's I don't care. It's always I don't care.
Because everything come out everybody's mouth is blaming me like I'm not trying.
Sean, you got yourself in this predicament.
Care.
Despite defeat, Dr. Now gave DeShaun another chance by scheduling him for psychotherapy again.
What DeShaun needs is to talk to psychotherapy. So we'll set that up and give him one more chance to do that. Right now, he's in a self-destructive mode and somebody needs to help him out of that. Let's start with psychotherapy if you can get him to do that.
And helped his mother to help him, Dr. Now, to have DeShaun attend psychotherapy. DeShaun would eventually start psychotherapy, but he would drop it too. He had therapy before, but after his former therapist moved, he was not able to trust anyone else again the same way he trusted her, and that is very understandable. I myself had my first therapist back in 2016, and I had her until I could not afford her anymore, as the job that I had at the time cut our pay. Then, a few months later, I got laid off, and I could not afford therapy at all. When I started my current employment, I resumed therapy, and I am at my third therapist because of internal shakeups that the company who employs them had, where they parted ways with some of their therapists, including the first 2 that I was assigned. The first session with the current therapist was a bit like DeShaun's first session with Dr. Paradise. I did not show disinterest, but trust was definitely not there at first. When you open up to someone about your entire life and all the trauma in it, and then you lose that person, usually it is hard to do that a second time with another person. And I had to do that with 4, including the very first therapist. And what contributes in making this very difficult is that each time you talk about it with a new person, you not only relive those traumas, but you are at your most vulnerable. As you do so, it is difficult and sometimes painful to be vulnerable with strangers, but by the end of that first session with my current therapist, we clicked and I decided to keep her. Sometimes it takes one session, sometimes it takes more. It depends on the therapist and their tactic on how they work with patients, and also what they specialize on, as not all therapists are equal. In DeShaun's case, we don't know how many sessions it took, but he resumed physical therapy and he was finally able to leave his room to go to the living room and even on the patio.
This is like the first time in 2 years that I actually sat outside. I am a little proud of myself. I knew I could do it. I just had to get out of my head and just do it.
Now, that was progress.
It's going on 3 months since last I talked to DeShaun, and now he's not picking up any more calls from me. He also stopped answering the door for PT, and he's not been following up with psychotherapy, and he fired his nurse. So it seems like he didn't like her trying to feed him healthy meals. He has no interest in changing his life.
Eventually, DeShaun would quit all the help that he had, psychotherapy, physical therapy, the diet, everything, and he blocked Dr. Now. DeShaun was an extreme case of pre-contemplation. This is the first and often most resistant stage of the trans-theoretical model of behavior change. People in pre-contemplation aren't just struggling to change, they don't truly believe they need to. They may say the right words, but deep down, they're not convinced that their behavior is a problem, or if they do, they've already accepted defeat. That was DeShaun. Like Ryan Barkdahl, DeShaun talked about change, but he didn't follow through. Like Ryan, he dropped out of therapy. Like Ryan, he ignored the medical help being offered. Like Ryan, he eventually cut off Dr. Now altogether. But here's where they differ. Ryan lied, manipulated, and postured. DeShaun, he shut down, he disengaged. Where Ryan was combative and full of excuses, DeShaun was numb and defeated. His resistance wasn't aggressive, it was passive collapse. And that's still resistance, it's still pre-contemplation, and it's still deadly. So how do you move someone like DeShaun out of pre-contemplation? It starts with acknowledging the trauma. DeShaun was shot, he lost trust, he dropped out of school, he lost his therapist. That kind of loss builds walls around a person, and in DeShaun's case, those walls became literal. He locked himself in a room for 3 years and only came out when coaxed. That's not laziness, that's learned helplessness, and it's rooted in grief. For someone like him, progress has to be trauma-informed and long-term, not one therapy session, not a 2-month weight loss deadline, not just telling him to get up and move. He needs continuity of care, the same therapist, the same support structure, the same reinforcement, long enough to rebuild a sense of safety and control. He also needs external motivation. DeShaun's home situation is a cycle of dependence, the caregiving roles, the disability checks, the dysfunction. It's all designed to keep him exactly where he is. No one around him has an incentive to change because financially and emotionally, the system rewards the status quo. Just like Ryan, DeShaun needs accountability outside the home.
Everyone, including DeShaun, is incentivized to stay like that. The problem is that the situation is killing him. So DeShaun is headed down the road that is not going to end well for him.
A care facility might be the only path forward, not as punishment, but as a lifeline. In an environment where everyone isn't getting paid to keep him sick, real care might actually begin. The truth is this: neither Ryan nor DeShaun failed because they were weak. They failed because they were never ready. They were given tools before they had the mindset to use them. They were offered solutions before they were willing to name the problem. That's what pre-contemplation looks like. And the tragedy is, most people don't move past it until it's too late. But if DeShaun is ever going to have a shot at change, he'll need more than a diet plan. He'll need structure, stability, trust, and time. And most of all, he'll need to want it. For himself, not for the cameras, not for his mother, not even for Dr. Now. Until then, the weight will keep piling on, the health will keep declining, and the window for change will keep getting smaller. Stephanie Smith. Stephanie Smith was 36 when she appeared on My 600-Pound Life. She lived with her husband and 3 children, and her mother and stepfather would come by and help take care of her. Her parents had her when they were very young, and she would spend a lot of the time with her father, who was an ice cream truck driver. When their parents divorced, it broke Stephanie. Then her mother got with a new man who turned out to be abusive. The mother reached out to the father, who was ready to help them as long as they would escape from the abusive man. 2 days after the mother, Stephanie and her brothers did, the father passed away in a car accident, and the mother, with the children, became home
to live.
Stephanie's grandmother ended up calling Child Protective Services on her daughter as she had no means to take care of the children, and Stephanie and her brothers ended up in the foster system. Stephanie turned to food to be strong for her brothers, but also for herself. Later on, her mother met Martin, who she eventually married, and he became a father figure for Stephanie. In high school, Stephanie had no friends, and she felt very lonely. She had food as a companion. And after she graduated from high school, she met a man who she had a nightstand with and never heard of afterward. From that resulted a pregnancy. She would subsequently have 3 children with 3 different men, and each pregnancy came with weight gain that she could never get rid of. The fear of dying in her sleep and leaving her children alone made her reach out to Dr. Now in hope that he would help her lose weight and live longer. Martin decided to take her to see the bariatric surgeon, and the trip to Houston took them 5 painful days. The trip was more painful for Stephanie because she was cramped in the minivan. It was also very dangerous. You see, the most immediate risk for individuals as big as Stephanie, who are cramped in a tight environment for long hours, is deep vein thrombosis, or DVT, a life-threatening condition where blood clots form in the deep veins, often in the legs, due to prolonged immobility. In people carrying excessive weight, the pressure on the lower extremities is already high. Add hours of sitting still with limited circulation, and it creates the perfect storm for a clot to form and possibly travel to the lungs, causing a pulmonary embolism, which can be fatal. Second, there's the risk of respiratory distress. Morbidly obese individuals often suffer from sleep apnea, reduced lung capacity, and compromised oxygen intake. Being in a cramped position for hours, especially in a seated hunched posture, can restrict airflow even further. It's not uncommon for these individuals to experience shortness of breath, chest pain, or dizziness during or after long trips. We saw it with Stephanie when her stepfather and her arrived at a hotel for the night.
Oh, God.
To be honest, it is probably the hardest thing I've done in a while. Because then I know I still have to come back home through that long drive all over again.
Stephanie was struggling breathing all the way from the vehicle to her room. Third, the skin is at serious risk. Friction from seat belts, the inability to shift positions, and sweat accumulation in skin folds can lead to pressure sores, infections, and worsening lymphedema. When you're in a body that already struggles to heal, even small wounds can escalate quickly. Lastly, there's the issue of emergency access. In a packed vehicle, it can be nearly impossible to exit quickly in case of an accident. If medical attention is needed during the trip, Whether from a spike in blood pressure, a cardiac event, or severe discomfort, help may come too late simply because there's no easy way out. This isn't just a road trip. For someone who is 500, 600, or 700 pounds, it's a high-stakes gamble. A trip like this can turn fatal, and the tragic part is, it often could have been avoided with proper medical clearance, safer transport options, and a deeper understanding of the physical toll that such a journey demands. Anyways, at the first appointment with Dr. Now, Stephanie was weighed at 611 pounds. The surgeon gave her the goal to lose 50 pounds in the upcoming 2 months.
How motivated you are to change?
Extremely. That's why I'm here. I want to change.
Right now, I'm skeptical if you're going to change anything. This is going to be a really difficult task for you. I want you to do those exercises 1 hour in the morning and 1 hour in the evening. Also, you may want to work on getting your son educated about eating habit and try to work with him.
Okay.
All right? Next time you come by, I want you to bring your son with you.
Okay.
Because her firstborn was also obese, she was tasked to educate him on healthy eating habits, possibly even do this plan with him and bring him with her at the next appointment. For a few months, Stephanie seemed to be doing well. She was shown eating healthier foods than before and exercising with her children. Her mother, who was also obese, got sick and had fibromyalgia, a condition that is alleviated with weight loss. But because her mother was sick, Stephanie had no one to watch her children while she would go to see Dr. Now again, so she did not, and instead had a FaceTime call with him. During that call, we learned that she stuck to the plan and went to see a doctor who weighed her at 530 pounds. At least, that's what she said.
Do you feel like you lost any weight?
Yes, I actually went to the doctor about 2 weeks ago, and he weighed me.
So what was your weight?
When I went to see him, it was 530.
Stephanie was finally able to make it to the second appointment with Dr. Now. There she was weighed at 602 pounds. That is a 9-pound loss in 5 months. But wait, something does not add up. In the video call with Dr. Now, she said she was at 530 pounds. At the second appointment with Dr. Now, she was at 602 pounds. What happened to the other 72 pounds? I'll tell you, nothing happened to them. She lied, and that weight loss never happened. She never reached 530 pounds after the first visit with Dr. Now. Also, her son was home, sick, she told the bariatric surgeon. Stephanie was given the same goal, and also to bring her son the next time so that Dr. Now would help them both. Again, she would not bring her son with her at that next appointment, and she would only lose 6 pounds instead of 50. Dr. Now gave her the same goal, to lose 50 pounds in the next 2 months. This time, he also set up a weigh-in session at a nearby clinic rather than she making the trips to Houston for no reason. This was also a safer option for her due to the risk associated with being crammed in tighter spaces while traveling for long hours of time. Eventually, Stephanie would miss the weigh-in appointment and would block Dr. Now.
For the last few months, I haven't heard from Stephanie. She seemed to block me, so I am unable to call her. She likely didn't lose any more weight. The reality is that Stephanie never intended to do what she needed. In the end, she's just looking for someone to come in and do the work for her by giving her weight loss surgery.
Stephanie was not in action. She wasn't even in preparation. Like DeShaun, like Ryan, Stephanie was still in the pre-contemplation stage of behavior change, but with a twist. She said all the right things. She showed up on screen with healthier looking meals. She filmed herself exercising with her children. On the surface, it looked like she wanted this. But underneath it all, Stephanie was still making the same choices in secret. She snuck in food, she snuck in high-calorie drinks, she gave the appearance of effort, but effort only works when it's consistent, honest, and sustained. That's the lie of pre-contemplation. It wears a mask. People in this stage often believe their own version of the truth. I'm trying. I just had a setback. I was doing great until life got in the way. In reality, Stephanie wasn't being honest with herself, with Dr. Now, or with her family. So why didn't Dr. Now's approach work? Because it was a mismatch for her stage. Dr. Now's system works best for people in the preparation or action stages, those who are ready to show up, face hard truths and grind through resistance, but Stephanie hadn't accepted the full reality of her condition. She wasn't yet willing to be held accountable. That's why she lied about her weight. That's why she blocked calls. That's why she never brought her son, because doing so would have exposed the truth that she wasn't really following the plan. So, how do you help someone like Stephanie move forward? 1. Slow the process down. Stephanie didn't need a calorie target and a scale first. She needed a therapist, someone to help her unpack the trauma of being placed in foster care, of losing her father, of living through instability. Food became her armor. You can't just rip the armor off without giving her something safer to wear in its place. 2. Build internal motivation. Dr. Now gave her external goals. Lose 50 pounds, bring your son, get approved for weight loss surgery. But what was missing was why she wanted to change. Fear of dying wasn't enough, because the truth is, Stephanie had already survived a lifetime of pain. To move forward, she needed a reason to live, not just a reason not to die. 3. Catch the deception early. The moment she claimed to weigh 530 pounds and then later came in at 602 was the red flag that she was slipping. Instead of just resetting the goal, that was the time for a serious intervention. Not punishment, but a pause, a shift toward more direct support. Weekly virtual weigh-ins, scheduled food logs, remote nutrition counseling, and family support education. 4. Confront the enabling dynamics. Her family wasn't the problem, but they weren't the solution either. If she could sneak food and drinks in, it meant there were gaps in oversight, gaps she took advantage of. A family-based approach where everyone in the household is educated and involved might have given her less room to hide and more reason to succeed. Stephanie wasn't lazy. She was scared. She wasn't incapable. She was stuck. And until she can stop lying to herself about her effort, she will continue to cycle in and out of failure, heartbreak, and health scares, dragging her children along with her, one excuse at a time. Progress starts when truth begins. And for Stephanie, truth means facing the fact that the only person who can save her is her. Train mean